Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the Newark and Sherwood series, a district of 84 civil parishes right in the centre of Nottinghamshire. Come with me as we delve into one of them. Right, today in Newark and Sherwood I've got one that's actually quite large. I didn't realise quite how big this one is. We're starting outside Dean Hall Primary School, which is this building behind me there. And I don't know whether you can read the sign from here. If not, I'll get a little bit closer. This you can find in the large village of Caunton. This Newark and Sherwood video is sponsored by Past Days, a family history blog by June Terrington. You'll find a link in the description. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Caunton is a village and civil parish in the Newark and Sherwood district of Nottinghamshire on the A616, 6 miles northwest of Newark-on-Trent. Census data groups it together with the nearby settlements of Maplebeck and Winkburn, and it also contains a small hamlet, Knapthorpe, which has a Microlight site and a potting shed church. Caunton has many notable features and a few notable people. One of the former would be this ford, where the Beck crosses the aptly named Ford Lane. This is the same beck that runs through Norwell and it forms the boundary between Kersall and Maplebeck. It eventually flows east into the River Trent. It looks a bit larger here than it did back there. We were treated here to a great little demonstration of how to drive through a ford by the local DPD van too. Here we have an old chapel. 2 19th century chapel buildings survive, both now converted into private houses. Several members of the Ancliffe family were enthusiastic primitive Methodists. Next, we need to take a footpath alongside the chapel building which will lead us to Chapel Lane. This is a village that's spoiled when it comes to public rights of way. Caunton was probably a typical medieval village with 2 or 3 open fields of strips, much like the still existing strip farming scene at nearby Laxton. A quick look to the left here and we see the first of the 2 village pubs. This one is the Plough, the other one is called the Beck or Caunton Beck and it stands alongside the waterway we've just seen. The village has probably changed very little since 1795. The present village layout is remarkably similar to that depicted on the Enclosure Award map of that year. Check out this fancy bus shelter next. Caunton is served by 3 buses. These are the 332, 334 and 335. You can reach Newark, Tuxford and Retford from here. The village war memorial is built into the churchyard wall, reusing stone from the 1869 restoration of the church's chancel, having originally been quarried in the 13th century. Now, I'm not ignoring the church at this point, it's just that later on in the route I'll be catching it from the other side because you can get in via a public footpath. The church is literally just there, as you can see, with its bunting and its churchyard. There's also the Beck at Caunton, which is just here, and there's a footpath which links us to the road that I'm about to walk up, but I'm going to go around this and see if there's anything the other side. There wasn't really anything much around here, so instead I'll talk a little bit about CCNO, which according to Januki is a parish magazine delivered free each month to all the households here. In the 19th century, life in Caunton would have been typical of life in any rural village, depending largely on agriculture for its livelihood. Village children had 3 treats to look forward to here. These were a choir outing, a chapel Sunday school treat, and a party to celebrate the end of 3 weeks peeling willow rods to be used locally for basket making. Where we are now would have been where the original school was, built here in 1840. The building ceased to be a school in 1971 and it was converted to a private residence in 1984. St Andrew's Church can be found at the end of School Lane. This is a Grade 1 listed building, denoting it as a building of outstanding architectural or historic interest. The village is notable for its association with Samuel Hole, who's buried in the churchyard of St Andrews. He was the village's vicar for a short while before becoming Dean of Rochester. I do believe this church is open. Let's go in and have a look. Samuel Hole was born at Ardwick near Manchester, but was raised in Newark and educated at Mrs Gilby's Preparatory School and Newark Grammar School. Here's the man himself. He lived in the manor house and he's commemorated in many places around Caunton. This is why Dean Hole School has its name. Caunton also has 2 streets, one's named Dean's Corner and the other Amen Corner, both to the east of the village, both in reference to Dean Hole. So I just made use of the toilet here in the church, and it's not very often you see a toilet in a church. This one's actually got a rather interesting little bit of history to go with it, believe it or not, which I noticed on the way in. That's how I knew the church had a toilet. Look at this. The toilet here is twinned with a latrine in Bangui in the Central African Republic. Isn't that amazing? We're used to villages being twinned with other places, but to twin a toilet, that's got to be unique, surely. Surely there aren't any other toilets out there that are twinned with another one somewhere else in the world. They all do the same job. Next, we're traversing Beck Way, which leads us to Norwell Road. Caunton's gorgeous setting and very attractive properties have aided it greatly in the past. As such, it's been used by the media. It was used as a filming location for the majority of the 2nd series episodes of the popular British comedy drama Auf Wiedersehen Pet. Set around a group of 7 British migrant construction workers, Beesthorpe Hall was used as the fictional Thornley Manor, which was being renovated as part of that storyline. Caunton's beauty has won its awards, and rightly so. Here on Norwell Road, we have a sign that tells us it's won an annual trophy for the best kept village in Nottinghamshire in the 300 to 700 population category. There's no date for that though, but the sign looks pretty recent. Next up, we've got the parish notice board. Mark Caunton off that list, people. So I wondered when one of these things would show up. Red phone box. Again, this is a defib one. There's no book exchange in here. I'm tending to find quite a lot in Nottinghamshire that book exchanges tend to be like in churches or elsewhere. They don't tend to be in red phone boxes. A lot of these are used for defib machines. I wonder why that is. Anyway, there's a defib machine in the phone box in Caunton. Now, my route now takes me down there, and as you can see, this may be a problem because the road's closed. I don't know whether I can walk down there, but I kind of need to because the next major landmark is down there and it's hopefully accessible. Let's see. Caunton's entry in the Domesday Book is as Calne's Tune. There were many variants of its spelling during the Middle Ages. Other spellings have included Calnothston, Calnabton, Calnetton, Caunton spelt with a W, and most notably Caunton in 1649 spelt C-O-N-T-O-N. Some villagers still pronounce the current name as Caunton. Fun fact for you today, the village has a naval link. HMS Caunton, a ton-class minesweeper from 1952 to 1970, was named after the village. Looks like we're okay, we can walk down here. I was very worried, but they've just got the road up at the side, as you can see, so you can walk through, which is good. Next major landmark, just around that corner. This area is generally residential, so I'll squeeze in Knapthorpe's etymology here as well. Knapthorpe is generally accepted to mean the hamlet of Knap, an old Scandinavian boy's name. It could also be based on the Middle English noun knap, meaning top or mountain top, with the surrounding land being part of a local shallow peak. That would certainly make sense with how the land lies around here. Here we are at that landmark eventually after walking through the roadworks. This is Carlton Mill, also known as Sharp's Mill. It was a 43-foot brick tower windmill with an OG cap, built sometime before 1825. It was out of use though by the 1930s. The mill survives without its cap, machinery and gallery, but it's still a prominent Caunton landmark, towering above the associated mill cottages and this footpath we need to use next. It seems Caunton has a few feline friends knocking about if this sign is to be believed, although I can't imagine any cats would use this next little snicket at the moment. Right, okay, this footpath, as you can see here, is where I've got to go now. This is very overgrown, so I'm going to pick my way through this very carefully. There's a few nettles and things about, but it's an important footpath this, because it will link us back almost to the beginning. We've still got to see the sports field, recreation ground, and a few other bits and bobs, but really the main bulk of the walk is done. I'm just hoping this is, oh, not too bad. Wow, this really needs cutting. Oh, it's an adventure, we're going on an adventure. Oh, there we go. Oh, wow. Right, we're at the end of it now. This should be, if it's not the sports field, should be close to it. Let's get over this stile. Oh, I don't like stiles. Oh. Yeah, the sports field is behind those trees, and that's where we're going now. Here's the Beck again, where those trees were. This was another footpath that was a bit tough to follow, although I did eventually find the bridge over the Beck that I was looking for. On to the cricket club now. Caunton Cricket Club play in Division F of the South Nottinghamshire Cricket League. Isn't this just the most perfect setting for a game? The playing field also has a football pitch. That leads us to a folklore tale. It's said that in the 1450s, during the reign of Henry VI, one of the first recorded games of football was played in Caunton. It's also said that one of the players, William Bartram, was kicked in an undesirable place. He suffered prolonged agony until in a dream he had a vision of the glorious Henry VI, and from that moment on he was completely cured. There's also a play area here. On one of the pieces of equipment there's a plaque telling us that this was provided in 2008. Now, as far as sports and recreation go, this is not the only sports and recreation facility that Caunton has. A little bit out of the village, you'll find the Caunton Lawn Tennis Club. That's one of the things that's featured in today's picture bit. Right, it's been a long time since I attempted one of these adventure trails. I'm going to have a go at this one. It's a circle, starting from this bridge here, going around there. There's a few chainy sections, looks like a balance beam, and then back to this bridge. This could be interesting. Let's see if I can do it. Well, okay. You know, I proper make a fool of myself when I do this. Oh, this is wobbly, but I'm on it. just about managed that. Right, onto these stepping stones. Now this is going to be a little bit difficult to do with the camera in my hand. I'll try it. Oh, I was never any good at these things when I was a kid. No, I'm off it. Hey, I didn't do so bad. I managed that little bit. I'm getting better at these. Maybe, just maybe, I ought to use my head strap. I have a head strap for the GoPro. Might be able to attempt those if I put the camera on that. I haven't got it with me at the moment, so next time I see one of these things, if I've got my head strap with me, I'll attempt to do the whole thing without falling off. And with that, we're back at the school. That's completed a very nice walk around the village and the parish of Caunton, which I do hope you've enjoyed. We're motoring through these in Newark and Sherwood, aren't we? The other night when I was preparing the images for this episode, I realised how far south I've come down into Nottinghamshire now. It's a long way. I didn't think it was quite as far just yet, but it's not going to be long, and we're going to be touching Rushcliffe, which is the most southerly district in Nottinghamshire, which is crazy, quite frankly, because it's not that long since I finished Basset Law. So yeah, all of a sudden Nottinghamshire's looking like it's getting to its halfway point at least, which is crazy. But there you go, another one down in Newark and Sherwood anyway, and time for me to go to my next one, which is just to the east. I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and this has been the Parish of Caunton, and I'm out. Just before we leave Caunton behind, I couldn't resist to go myself through the ford. It wasn't that exciting in all honesty, it was just like a big puddle. Remember to try your brakes, folks, if you have a go at it yourself.